Hey everybody, we're back again. Like I said, we're coming back every week. You can't get rid of us. We're like a tick, just latched onto your skin. We're not going anywhere. The triple option is back. My fellow ticks, Coach AB Adam Brown, and my guy Kevin Little. We're back. Florida State, the Seminoles of Northern Florida, of Tallahassee. They are 2-6 after a 38-22 loss to NC State on the road. Story of the game, it's a youth movement. It's a youth movement, and we're going to get into it. But NC State really picked Florida State apart in the slot. Bailey Hockman's revenge game for the god awful inhumane treatment that we showed him last year. He threw for 265 yards, 3 touchdowns, had a QBR of like 93.6, which is pretty good. Thayer Thomas, yes. Thayer Thomas, one of the, just sounds like the captain of a lacrosse team. Ate our lunch in the slot, 135 yards, 11 catches. If you played him in a PPR league, you won. 2 touchdowns. And there's a lot of mixed feeling in off of this game, because Florida State got smashed early and they had a really positive fourth quarter. And my outlook on the team isn't as much doom and gloom as apocalyptic as pretty much every other person that I've seen. I'll tell you why first, but I'm going to let Adam go, and then Kevin, just give me your quick thoughts of the game, and I'll give you where my head's at with this Florida State football program at the moment.
Yeah, so I guess I'm just going to go bullet point style here. For me, quick thoughts on the game. You've got a very middle school level playbook in right now with a quarterback that's been practicing for about 5 weeks. You had a really limited rotation in the backfield, so there's only so much you can do there. Wide receiver, you had 5 active wide receivers. And again, one of them was Warren Thompson, who, hey, great for him. That was a hell of a catch. Like, I got to give him his props.
Touchdown
I got to give him his props, but that drop earlier in the game was so holy moly.
Brutal.
And then, defensively, it's just – I thought they made some steps at different parts of the defense. Pass rush suddenly showed up out of nowhere. I really thought they were really good against a run all night long until kind of the end when the game was a little bit in doubt. But it's the same old. Find a linebacker, attack a linebacker, which is going to lead. We're going to talk about it a little bit later. Is there an issue there as far as coaching and getting those guys game ready? So, I mean, I'm positive coming out of the game. We didn't get any spring practices and spring scrimmages, so it's that season for us now. We're going to make up for it because it's scrimmage season the rest of the way.
I agree. And the funny thing about the linebacker, we'll get to that. Dave Dorn actually said as much, like, hey, we targeted the Mike linebacker. Like, when he went this one way, we did it all night. And they really did. So we'll get why and what it looked like. And is it a death knell for the guy making the mistakes, or is it something he can improve upon? It's what we call a teaser in the biz. So we'll get there. Kev Dog, you look like $1 million. How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I honestly haven't been on Twitter or anything like that. So
smart.
This is the first time I'm hearing that people are upset about this performance. If you're upset about this performance, I don't know what you're expecting. You don't get rid of your arguably four most talented players, 3 or 4 of your most talented players, and then improve immediately off the bat. This is a long process. This is, 1% better is the saying, and 1% better over a week is like 0.07% improvement, but over a year it's like 37 times better. So, it's one of those things where you have to give it time. It's not something that's going to turn around. You don't say goodbye potential first round draft pick defensive lineman and then get better the next week. Like, I'm sorry, I don't know what you were expecting, if you expected to be better this week. However, I think there's some things to glean off of this. I think there are places that we do need to be concerned about. The youth, some things that aren't acceptable, and then some things that I think are good, and things that we can look forward to improving as time goes on, and really building a foundation. You almost have to think of this program as having took a death penalty and just saying, hey, we're starting from the beginning. Maybe, I mean, not that extreme. We're not SMU in the 80s, but like, it's not terribly far off. We're like in year 2 after a death penalty. We've got freshmen and sophomore we can build around, but outside of that, we're even if we do have juniors and seniors to build around, we're really abandoning that philosophy, and we're saying, hey, we're going to ride on you guys. And at the end of the day, you're asking a bunch of 18 and 19-year-olds to beat a bunch of 22-year-olds for NC State, and that's just not going to happen.
And that's a good point. So this is what I kind of want to get to, because this is what a youth movement looks like. And I'm not going to fact check Kevin's 1% math, because that was great, man. I don't know if you're like, if you're a savant or anything, or if you worked it out before, but either way, that was good stuff.
Trey, we need to pause this show. All right.
Well,
we need to pause the show. I got something I got to say.
By all means, please.
Say it.
Chubba Purdy, bop, 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 bop. Chubba Purdy, bop, 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 bop. Come on, Kev.
And that's
I'll say something.
Go ahead, respond, Kevin.
There were times when it looked like he was surprised he wasn't the most athletic person on the field anymore, which is fair. You expect that. But he played well. He looked like a potentially good college football quarterback.
My heart is warm now. Like, I feel good. I'm good.
Don't shoot up all your shots at him. Maybe he's gonna have to say nice stuff about him later. Ease him into it.
I had to do it.
Chubba Purdy, that's a good point, because before this game, James Blackman gone, transferred. Marvin Wilson gone for the year, NFL probably. Tamorian Terry gone, I think, transfer. That one didn't look like it ended amicably. Devontae Love Taylor gone for the season. The biggest blow to me out of all of them, the one who'd been playing the best at all those 4 that I mentioned. LaDamian Webb, very limited. Mike Norvell mentioned that after the game. Lawrence Toafili, I think, he was out. I think he was out. So this was a game that I watched at the beginning, and I felt those normal, like, Florida State, like, frustrations coming, like, oh my God, NC State, like, these are teams that we used to beat back in the day. We're more talented. We have this, we have that. By the time the fourth quarter came around, I kind of had like an epiphany that this is what like a real youth movement looks like. Fans, they call for a youth movement, but rarely do fans ever see an actual youth movement. We called for youth movements under like Willie Taggart. We never actually went the full way, because a lot of those guys that were problem cases or the emanators of the culture rot, we still have to play for the results, play for the expectation, play like Florida State. Florida State still needs to beat for the Virginias and the Wake Forest and the Dukes and everything like that. So you had to kind of keep those guys in. Mike Norvell realizes, like what Kevin said, that this is like a self-imposed death penalty, like a year 3 after the program. And this is a full youth movement. So what you guys need to treat this as, if you're going to keep your sanity, if you're going to keep from like Baker acting yourself, is that like year 0 is not like, it's not a euphemism. This is a year 0. This means nothing. This is a wash. Every single play that these guys are having is reps. It's potential. It's they're scrimmages. They're scrimmages to account for a spring, because with the roster that we have, I don't think that it's reasonable for Florida State to expect to win any of its remaining games, maybe other than Duke. I expect them to lose all their games. Now, with that being said, I could be mad, or I could look for the building blocks to happen. Like Adam mentioned, we had what I think he said 45 kids played in this game. We have the highest percentage of freshmen and sophomores in the entire country on our team. Look at our starting offensive line: Darius Washington, Thomas Schrader, Maury Smith, Bavion Johnson, who's an older guy, and then Robert Scott, true freshmen. So you've got true freshmen and redshirt freshmen everywhere. You've got wide receivers. Like I said, with Terry gone, nobody's there. So you got to stop thinking of this team as a traditional Florida State team, because the only thing that's Florida State about it, it's not the roster, and it's not the talent, and it's not the development. The only thing that's really Florida State about this team is the uniform and the spears on the helmet, because you're not watching a traditional Florida State team. And to be honest with you, you're not going to watch a traditional Florida State team until probably about 2022, if we're lucky. Now, that being said, that doesn't excuse some of the legitimate coaching questions I think that people have, and I think it's going to be fair to criticize these guys when you compare development from at least comparing other 2020 games to further 2020 games, I think is fair. But I didn't see anything from the coaching, again, that really made me scratch my head other than something on the defense that we're going to pick up. So, guys, there are legitimate building blocks to talk about on this team. Chuba Purdy didn't make any mistakes. He was like 15 for 23, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns. He looked good. You've got, I said there's like building blocks. It is Jarvis Brownlee. I think Jarvis Brownlee played a very good game. I was happy with the defensive line. Emmett Rice, I think, has continued to play well. There are going to be building blocks and pieces for the future to get excited about, particularly that fourth quarter. I actually had a good time watching that fourth quarter. But my point is this. There is an expectation. There is a standard in Florida State football. And to be honest with you, it's not applicable in 2020. It's not fair. It may not have been fair to the guy that preceded Mike Norvell, and that's fine. But this is it. This is what it is, man. Enjoy the games that you get, the reps, because these are going to be building blocks for the future. It's year 0.
Trey, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
All right. So you're Mike Norvell. All right. And people are going to say, they're going to listen to this and they're going to say, well, this is a results-oriented business. It's results, results, results. That's what David Coburn said when they fired Willie Taggart. Results, results, results. If you're Mike Norvell and you committed to this long-term rebuild and you've committed to this youth, how important are results in the record book? Now, he's going to tell you we want to win every game. I mean, obviously, he's going to tell you that.
Sure.
Where you go in every game wanting to win a game, the old Tony Dungy line or Herm Edwards, whatever. But are the results on the scoreboard more important, or are the results that he's seeing as far as guys just executing what they're being asked to do, is that more important for him, do you think?
To me, it's the results of the process. Like this all year about he's going to externally communicate, we want to win every game. And he's coaching like he wants to win these games. He's certainly coaching aggressive. But internally, it's I need to get my foundations in place. I need to get my offensive and defensive systems in, and I need to run them, and I need to coach this team like I'm going to coach them in 2 or 3 years from now when they need to be good, or else I will be fired. Right. So that's why the things that people had an issue with, like the 4th down math, like going for it on 4th and 1 inside your own like 30 or whatever. Listen, if Mike Norvell, if that's his coaching style, if he's going to do that in 2022, when hopefully this is a 10-win team, do it now. Do it. You want to do it. This is how you got successful anyway. Do it now. So your kids are used to like, hey, it's 4th and 1. We go for it. We're an aggressive. We're a Mike Norvell team. Run the defensive scheme that you're going to play, even though you have players that are limited kind of, at least from like a football IQ standpoint, because in 2022, God willing, this is the system. This is the scheme you're going to run. So to me, the results are important. Honestly, I don't think the scoreboard results are that important to Mike Norvell, unless they just totally get brained and they panic and they forget what they're doing. The results of, okay, my team showed fight through adversity. My team was disciplined. This week we got to implement 3% more of the playbook. Chuba Purdy is continuing to not make mistakes. Those like micro, the macro result of the game and the season, I don't think is important in 2020 to him. He's never said it, but I think the cumulative like micro results of like proof of concept, like, oh, these guys are buying in. My process is being accepted and bought in. And you see comments from that. Now, the whole team didn't buy in. Yep. I mean, 5 guys left, more are on the way. The team has not bought in. So that was a storyline in the offseason that a lot of people bought, and it's not true. The whole team didn't buy in. However, there is buy-in on this team. You can see comments from Jarvis Brownlee that he made after the game, and just kind of paraphrasing, like, somebody asked him, I think our show fell from War Chant, why are you so confident after another loss? You're 6th of the season, 6th out of 8 games. You're 2-6. Because I believe in this process. I can see it being implemented. I'm a Seminole till I die. Jarvis Brownlee's not the only guy that feels that way.
No, not at all.
So if the result, like, just to simplify that, if if a result could be more guys on this team thinking like a Jarvis Brownlee, those are the type of results that I think Mike Norvell is interested in year one or year zero.
I tend to agree, and I ask that question because I want people to understand, like, this is not a black and white situation. There's so much gray area here.
Absolutely.
With trying to develop a program and trying to develop your program or Mike Norvell's program and getting guys to understand. Jimbo used to always talk about the process, and Mike's trying to get the same thing across them, that every play matters. It's not the end result that really is what's important. It's how you get there through the process of the game and process of practice and work and going to class and all those things. And I think that he understands that he's got a roster that's A, full of freshmen and sophomores, and that's what he's playing, and B, is frankly just not that talented with 2 transition classes and, whatever else. I think that that's why, he's really trying to make sure that these guys understand what happens at the end of the game doesn't really matter. It's what happens execution-wise and all the things that occur during the game that are way more important. And I just think we as a fan base need to understand that too, that what's occurring during the game is what matters. At the end of the game, yes, we all want to win. We want the team to win. That's what we care about. But how they're getting there to that end score is what really needs to matter to us, because frankly, they're just not talented enough to win a lot of these games when you're playing many freshmen and sophomores.
Yeah, I agree. You're 100% right. They're the worst team in the conference, I think, and they're probably, as far as like talent with the guys that are playing now, they're in the bottom half of talent as well. So they're young and untalented compared to their competition, and I know that the rankings aren't going to tell you that, but these guys, these freshmen and sophomores, they are underdeveloped freshmen and sophomores. The freshmen didn't have a spring. The sophomores didn't have a spring and then had Willie Taggart's last year, which was all chaos and in disarray and under development. So none of these guys are developed. So they're young and they're untalented. So for me, I'm going to continue to judge Mike Norvell's. Like I said, this is not a pass on the coaching staff. I have a couple of issues with some of the things that I'm still seeing, and we're going to get to the film. But the biggest thing I'm going to judge Mike Norvell on this year is roster evaluation and where he's going to plug these holes with grad transfers at linebacker, receiver, safety, JUCO recruiting. I don't even think I'm going to be able to judge his high school recruiting yet, because this is the product that he's saddled with selling. So
here's
my evaluation of Mike. My evaluation of Mike Norvell is going to be different this year than it is next year and the following years.
Right. Yeah.
You have to judge coaches not by game performances, but year by year performances. And right now it's year one to say anything about Mike Norvell definitively is short-minded here. He's been here for what, 8 months? You can't turn a program in 8 months. And if you can, it's like a placebo. It's one of those things where, you might see someone like, I don't know, PJ Fleck come in and win 10 games off of this culture, and then he leaves and the team immediately just crumbles because it wasn't a real coaching change. It was this false sense of togetherness or whatever. To build a real program, you need to start from the beginning, or you need to be there for a while and you need to cultivate this culture. And honestly, the thing, if Mike Norvell isn't the guy, we know that this isn't his worst, right? Or this isn't his best. This isn't as good as the program's going to be under him. You give him 3 or 4 years, show what he's got. If at the end of 3 or 4 years, you spend a year or two and you find the perfect fit for the program, firing or even talking about this kind of stuff this early on, being upset about Mike Norvell's performance on such a high level that you're you hate Mike Norvell this early on. That's the kind of stuff that leads to emotional firings and leads to people not understanding. You fire when you've got someone lined up that you like, right? Georgia got rid of Mark Richt, who was a stable guy, when they knew they had Kirby Smart, who was the perfect hire for them to bring in, right? That's what a successful coaching turnover looks like. Go look at Texas, go look at whoever, Tennessee, and they just fire people at a whim and then scramble to find the best available coach. And that's not how it's done. You let Mike Norvell build what he is capable of building, and then you evaluate what he's got, and then you look for a better option if that's necessary. And we have no idea if it is.
Yeah. And also, I'll say this right before we get into the film. I don't know how anybody could make a decision at this point that Mike Norvell is not the guy and he needs to get fired. But conversely, I don't think there's enough information to say that he is 100% the guy to bring Florida State, because there's not enough evidence of that either. So I think what we're all saying, just in different ways, is that there's not really enough evidence for either conclusion.
Yeah.
I mean, do whatever. Spend your time however you find to be valuable as like a fan to get mad at the stuff that you want to get mad at. It's your life. I'm just telling you at this point, the real non-sexy answer coming from a non-sexy guy, I'm the authority on it, is that it's still TBD. So let's get into the film and let's talk about it. But that was good. That was actually more robust than I planned, but I feel like it was necessary. And Kevin, good for you for staying off online, because we all deal with cataclysm and catastrophe in our own special way.
So let's jump into the film, and I think I want to talk about what probably frustrated a lot of people early on. So here's one of many early conversions on. This is a 3rd and 6, and so.
I heard the disgust sound from Adam already.
So you see this all night, right? You got Travis J kind of in this off coverage here. He's way back, 6 or 7 yards off the line of scrimmage. And then this slot receiver's going to run just a quick slant, and it's an easy completion for a first down.
You're bringing max pressure.
Quick decision by Hockman. And the Florida State's poison is quarterbacks that are decisive and can hit intermediate routes quickly. Adam, we got smoked in the slot all night. Yeah. Now, was it misalignment? Travis J, I was going to say, is it unathleticism? But Travis J, he's coming off an injury, but he's one of the most athletic kids we've signed in the past couple of years. What was the real reason why Florida State just got annihilated over and over and over again in the slot?
Well, there were various reasons, and this is in this example, and we saw it again later with Gant. I mean, this is just a mismatch. I mean, this is one of their quicker kids in a phone booth, just really lighting him up with a nice route. It's 6 yards. That's not deep. I mean, that's kind of standard cornerback depth, 4 to 6 yards, somewhere in there. It's not anything crazy. You're bringing max pressure, and I mean, Hockman looked like a stud, in my opinion. He was perfect. He was throwing some serious dimes. That's one of those scenarios where you're bringing the house and you're hoping that you affect him enough with a free rusher. And you see Kando's coming free. I mean, he's a free rusher there. You're hoping that impacts him enough that he misfires a ball. And the kid was perfect all night long. On that play specifically, there's some stuff later, and hopefully we have some good clips of them picking on Steven Dix Jr. It's just with him, it's a case of see ball, go attack ball. When they put the ball in the stomach of the running back, he's 10 yards deep in the backfield, and there's no under coverage to help these safeties out, and that's a tough ask of a safety trying to cover a slot who could run up. He could run a flag, he could run a post, he could run a slant. I mean, he could run so many different things. You're really on your heels there. It's a tough ask for them to defend.
And there's no help even underneath to make it. Yeah. Bailey Hockman made quick throws that were also easy. We didn't even have to make quick, difficult throws.
Yeah, you're hoping on some of those RPOs that Dix is reading them well, and Rice. It wasn't always Dix; it was Rice sometimes too. But you're hoping that they're reading those well and getting out and getting leverage on that ball. But he never does. I mean, they never do. They just go downhill in a hurry. Go ahead, Kev.
Yeah, so let me kind of draw the story for you. So you're sitting there and you're Adam Fuller and you're trying to game plan, right? On third and short, they're probably going over the middle on some level. So at the beginning of the game, you tell Travis J to sit at 6 yards and try to man coverage as you bring the house, and hopefully you can rattle Bailey Hockman. Well, that doesn't work, and so you say, okay, well, Travis J, now I want you closer, right? I want you in press coverage. Mm-hmm. And look, you can see it here. He's now 4 yards off the line of scrimmage instead of 6. That's actually a pretty big deal. That's That's the difference between being kind of off man and now this isn't exactly press, but it's more of like, hey, take away that short intermediate throw. Look what happens.
I mean, he just gets abused. I mean, that's a quick kid Jay's a safety for a reason. And he's one of the more athletic kids we've got, but I mean, that's a tough ask for him to do. And, we're in a situation where you have to blitz. People are going to say, well, why did he man up? Well, you can't get consistent 4-man pressure because your ends aren't really that good. Now, I thought they actually took a step forward and were able to get some 4-man pressure in this game, but it still wasn't consistent like you needed to be, in those situations. So you have to bring pressure. Your pressure never gets home because the backers just get stuck to people. And, I mean, Hockman he's able to make a quick decision on a play where they're blitzing enough guys that he shouldn't have that time, but he did.
So, yeah, if you're in man coverage, it's not going to work. Right, so let's look at what happens. You guys alluded to it several times. This is what our linebackers look like. So say you want, hey, I'm going to drop some linebackers back, right? So if this man-on-man doesn't work, maybe if I drop a linebacker
underneath, right? Yeah, make it difficult,
help, right? So what happens here, Adam?
We just don't get it. We never get enough depth. We don't reroute people. I mean, if you just focus on a pass play on 32, you're going to find him out of position every single time. Not 9 times out of 10, not 8 times, every single time.
All right. My issue, and I saw this last night, and I'm seeing it again. Mm-hmm. It's not that they should be rerouting people and their hands are glued to their side and they're running by. It's like they're half-heartedly rerouting. They're like just doing a chest brush. There's no jam. There's no nothing. The depth for the linebackers is still off. Steven Dix has been a consistent starter since that North Carolina game where he was on the field like 98% of the time. And on half the plays, he still has no idea what he's doing. There was a play where he went on a pressure, and then maybe he shouldn't have gone on a blitz, so he stopped. And then he realized, I can actually hit the quarterback. And then he went for him again. It was weird. It was like it was like trying to play like Madden on like a dial-up network. Like he just kind of like lag teleported. And it's just clearly like this poor kid has no idea what he's doing. So my question to you both. We gave the coaches, we've given them slack for for the hand that they've been dealt. At this point, game 8, should Steven Dix Jr. know what he's supposed to be doing on most of his defensive plays? Should he at least know where he's supposed to stand on a football field on a passing play by now?
Yeah, I think you got to say yes.
Right.
It kind of is what it is at this point. We've been – and now is that Adam Fuller's fault? Is that Chris Marr's fault? I'm going to blame the position coach here probably because he's going to spend the most time with these guys. But I'm going to say that when you watch Emmett Rice was in a position earlier in the season where he screwed a lot of this stuff up. But now he seems to be in position a lot more.
Right. And more confident. Yeah, much more confident.
Amari Gaynor, who hasn't played a lot of inside backer, has started to get more snaps in there. And I see him be able to do it a little bit, and as a kid who hasn't had a ton of reps in there. So, those are the things that make you stop and pause and say, well, is it really? I don't want to let Chris Marv off the hook. I think he deserves some blame in this. But I do, again, these things are never just cut and dry. It's one person's fault. There's some issues there for Steven Dix. I don't want to speak to what I think they are because I don't want to disrespect the kid, but I think he's maybe got some learning issues of what he's trying to pick up with his defense and understand. And it really that Mike position, I think is structurally destroying this defense because he's out of position all the time.
So AB, that play we watched just a second ago, what should Steven Dix be doing in this play, and what does he do wrong? I'll play it once real quick.
I just don't think he gets deep enough. And then he's chasing bodies. So he's wanting to chase the seam route here. He sees the back, so he's wanting to come up on the back. He just is always, we say around these parts, you're stuck between a shit and a fart. he just always kind of stuck in the middle.
That's right, and it's always a mess at the end.
He needs to drop as soon as he sees pass. He needs
always.
To drop, right?
Yeah, I mean, and it's an easy recognition. I mean, there's no ball fake in the backfield.
No.
So he's got
it's a straight drop back. Okay, so that's a good question. You can see him kind of hesitate forward because I think he likes to play the run. He feels more comfortable playing the run, so he's almost hoping that every play is a run play. There's not even a play action fake. That's a straight drop back, and there's still that inclination to go forward. Now, I like what you said, Adam, that around him, they do seem to be improving.
Yeah.
Some visibly, like Emmett Rice. The thing that makes me concerned again is that we've seen these issues from time to time to time.
Yeah.
And there's not a guy who can beat him out for that Mike position that is it really is structurally crumbling, killing this defense. And there's still not somebody who can take time from him.
No, they did run Gainer in there some this game.
In the middle?
Yeah, they did put him in for him some in this game.
Yep.
I think that they're wanting to they're obviously trying to find spots for Gainer to impact the game more. Part of me thinks that we're going to see more of that as we go forward here. Try to build some with Gainer in the middle, but look, I mean, Dix is still a true freshman. Like,
right, exactly.
You,
so
you don't want to bail on him. You don't want to give up on him and hope that it clicks at some point. Because I mean, he looks like Tarzan out there. And he is improving in the run game. Like, he is getting better. I thought he took better angles in the run game. He doesn't understand how to go backwards. And today's football is all about playing in space, and he's horrible in space. Like, he just isn't built for that.
He'd be a great linebacker like 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, like on that drop, I mean, he should have been bailing hook to curl at about 8 to 10 yards, and he's standing at 5, and it's just like, I mean, they just pick on him, and then he comes forward, and he's back again, and he's whiffing on people. It just, man, it just looks bad. It's really bad.
And to be fair, ideally, Steven Dix Jr., he's not like an Owen Popo. He's not like a 5-star can't miss like kid. Like, this is not a kid that should be playing as many snaps as he is right now as a true freshman in a COVID offseason. So what's being asked of him in some ways is unfair for a kid of his caliber. Like, he looks the part of a 5-star. He's not. He's a kid that needs to develop. He's a kid that got by with his athleticism in high school by just crushing dudes. And now you've got offensive coordinators opposing that are taking advantage of you every single week. And they're telling in interviews like, whatever the mic does, like, he just vacates space. We just attack him there. So it sucks. It's a crappy situation for the kid. And in no way am I implying, or I think my two colleagues implying, that this kid's a lost cause, because he has gotten better at the run fits, which were also a nightmare. So maybe Steven Dix's progression line is just like longer. Maybe his curve is more flattened, to use a topical reference. Maybe he will get good. It's just going to take, like, everybody develops at their own pace. But right now, I think my wish list for a grad transfer guy is a veteran hand as a middle linebacker that can call the defense for you and knows where he's supposed to be, from like an Iowa or like a Boston College, you know what I mean? Like those just like nasty, ugly, kind of look like me, except super more physically impressive dude. Just know where to be and know where to put the other people so that Dix can take a breather. And in his third year, he can like go out on the field when it's fair to him to put him out there. We don't have a better option right now, which sucks, but I don't know. I was ready to kind of go scorched earth on Marv and Fuller a little bit, but I mean, Adam, you brought up a good point. So a lot of the other linebackers are looking better from game 1 to game 8. So it's,
you can't give him credit for Rice, but then, I mean,
absolutely. That's
you know what I mean?
Point.
It is what it is.
I want to bring something up real quick while we're on the subject of Marvin Fuller. Well, not Marv, but Fuller. Justin Janaris Robinson, I criticized him for pass rush the other day, but I think just in a week you can see he took strides. I mean, it's not they don't teach you how to hand fight like that. That's not really, but he forces his way in there and he gets some pressure.
There's no moves, but at least there's confidence. Like, at least he's confident in his arsenal of like one thing, but it's an improvement. So what? Okay, a paradox. Marvin Wilson gone. Corey Durden did not travel with the team. Who knows what his status is? I imagine he's not going to be long for this Nole world much longer. But the defensive line as a unit played better to me as a unit.
Yep.
Again.
Derek McClendon looks good.
Okay, so you mentioned Janarius Robinson's improvement. Derek McClendon was a kid that by game 2, I remember us just like shaking our heads, like, what is this kid doing on a football field? And he's taken to the coaching supremely well. Derek McClendon is a guy that I mentioned, like building blocks. Derek McClendon might be a building block for this defense. As not like, I mean, you're still going to probably look for pass rush help in like the portal and things, but that's a solid kid that's going to play a lot of snaps at Florida State. And if you would have asked me that game 2, I would have said, nope, no chance.
No chance.
So that's coaching, guys.
Where's Quayshawn Fuller at?
It's coaching. I don't know. He hasn't got. He didn't. That's probably another.
He hasn't played in weeks.
I haven't seen him.
Yeah.
That's a concern. But I think we can go ahead and move on to the good stuff. I think you can listen to pretty much any FSU podcast and hear people complaining about stuff. So why don't we move on to what we think we can build off of?
Kev, like you're right. It wasn't just a total crap fest because I was watching that game. In Florida State, they were handling Chubba Purdy with kid gloves, which makes total sense with no wide receivers and all of your run. Ja'Kai Douglas was like your number 2 running back. He had no other weapons to help him. But it seems like they rotated Tate Rodemaker in. We'll probably talk about that a little bit. I know you're a Tate guy, Kev, on our thoughts about that. But I feel like in the fourth quarter, they opened up the playbook and said, Chubba, whatever, do Chubba stuff. And Florida State mounted like a mini comeback. I never thought that they would win, but before Travis J muffed that punt, man, that fourth quarter I think was really positive to build on with a team of young COVID Bucks, young, no offseason COVID Bucks. And I love the way that they responded because that very easily could have been a 52-9 loss. It's not like we haven't seen those this year, and it wasn't. So listen, guys, it's not a W, but there's improvement. So I'm gonna try to sell it the best I can. So let's talk about why they improved, what they did well.
Yeah, so early on, Chubba, I think, was a little hesitant. I think he was a little lost, but there are a few things he did well. And this is probably not going to be the first thing people think of when they think of how Chubba did well. But I liked this play a lot from Chubba, and it's not something I necessarily expected. We're in 3rd and 11. And he's a freshman gunslinger. You know, he wants to score a touchdown on every play. He's that kind of kid. But something we've been talking about all year is sometimes you need to take what the defense is giving you. They run this it's just a hot read. NC State brings some pressure. It's not picked up. And clear-headed Chubba makes a good hot read, gets a ball out of his hands, and we get the first down on 3rd and 11.
You know what's good about that play too, Kev, is that this is the signs, like the hallmark of that Mike Norvell, I think his philosophy is getting in, because Chubba's taking the hot route that's likely not going to get you 11 yards. Luckily it did on this one because, hey, I know that we're going for it on 4th anyway, because that's what my coach does. This is the hallmark of a team. So this is the type of stuff we're talking about before. If Mike Norvell can impose his style, his scheme, his philosophy, his system, it leads to more coherent play on both sides of the ball. Chubba Purdy knows that, listen, I'm fine with taking that. I'm fine with taking the right play there because I know what's going to come next, because I know how my coach coaches, because he's coached that way the entire game in the season.
Well, you got to because it just shows understanding of what's going on around him.
Sure, awareness.
You know, like Kev said, I mean, how many times have we seen guys just not take the free yards? You never know what those free yards are going to turn into. I mean, it's a hot route for a reason because they're blitzing from there, so that means there's going to be a defender vacating that area. You don't know what's going to occur. So if you give your playmakers an opportunity, and again, Trey, we talked about it earlier, coaching 2020 like you're going to coach in 2022. You're hoping in 2022 you've got a few more playmakers and they can make these plays. You know, so you want to see Chubba executing that way too. It's encouraging. And Mike really called it out after the game. I mean, he talked about how Chubba took some checkdowns, took some throwaways, was able to make some hot reads. it's been an issue all year at the quarterback position. It's nice to see the true freshman come in and do it.
Speaking of the quarterbacks, just quickly, I don't know if there's any clips that are going to get to this or not. There was some consternation from the fan base, if you will, about both Mike Norvell's fourth down math and the quarterback rotation of bringing Tate Rodemaker in. I think it was like the fourth or fifth series, and they kind of rotated him in, throughout the game. Looks like it was planned ahead of time. Do either of you, Adam, I'll go with you first, then Kevin, do either of you have issues with the Mike Norvell quarterback rotation in this game like we did with the James Blackman move?
No, because if you're going to go into the game with the assumption that this is a scrimmage, and that's what it is, it's what we've talked about, there clearly was a plan to get him some time. I understand the frustration was you just went down and scored, and now, we've seen Tate in the past, and he looked like garbage. He comes in and didn't look that great. So I understood where people were frustrated, but I thought if this is a scrimmage and that's how you're treating the game, then you're getting these guys reps and you're just trying to develop and see what the hell you got.
To me, Tate's I get it. Like I mean, I've been the biggest Tate homer ever since the beginning, but I'll admit he's like a year 3 or year 4 guy, comes in when you really just might have a down class with quarterbacks, you need someone to develop. And but as of now, he knows the playbook better. He's been here since the beginning of, like, he's been a early enrollee. Chubba just got here. Chubba's been injured. Tate's had like 10 times the practice time Chubba's had. At a certain point, you put him in there because he knows what he's doing. You want to open up the passing game. Time's whittling down in the first half. Maybe you see a chance for a 2-minute, like a 2-minute drive. And so this is nowhere near the same level of questioning that you should when he put in James Blackman, because there's reason for this. Like, he's another young kid. Neither one of them has, like, Chubba in that first half didn't show you that he's just 100% just world beater better than Tate Rodemaker. But by the end of the game, you kind of saw that he's more ready to play. But you just kind of have to give the two young kids a chance. I don't think they went into this game too worried about if they win or lose this game by putting in Tate. Just get the kids some rep.
Yeah, and I agree with you. At the time, it's one of those things too, guys. This is a depleted, this is an untalented team. When you are less talented than your opponent, when you are younger, you have to give your opposition different looks. That's why motions and formations and trickery are much more important to teams that aren't as good. You can't just line it up straight like a Georgia or like an Alabama and just like grind people into dust. This is just another look you're giving to NC State with a kid that at the time, Kevin said, like I said, Chubba Purdy didn't have like a death grip on the position. This is a kid that knows more of the playbook. It's a different look for NC State. It's something that they have to prepare for, and you're keeping them on your heels because you can't do it with your roster. So you have to do it through schematically. Now, I do agree with Kev that I think by the end of the game, that position for Chubba Purdy did feel more secure, and I don't really know if we're going to see more of this stuff going forward, barring injury. But I didn't have any issues with the quarterback rotation, just like I didn't have any issues with the fourth down math going for it. Like I said, coach the team in 2020 like you are in 2022, and still – like, just, you got to coach how you coach, man. Don't chase another extra couple W's in 2020 that are essentially they're meaningless. They're not essentially.
It tells the kids you trust them, right? Like, yeah, I trust absolutely. You get that yard. I trust my defense to stop them if they don't get that extra yard.
Now, I thought people were actually more frustrated with how they were trying to get that yard than
the play call, like the Wildcat.
Yeah, I thought people had more of an issue with how they were trying to go about it than actually doing it. And for me, look, it's an 11-11 game. Like, they're just trying to get numbers. And you saw in the second half, they flipped the Wildcat around, started running to the left. They started running into Peyton Wilson more as opposed to the other kid. The other kid was blowing it up. I mean, he was just running and hitting the fullback in the mouth. When they flipped it to the left and started running it at Wilson, he was more passive. They were able to get Corbin's long touchdown runs. Some of they adjusted going in the second half. Hey, how about that? A second half adjustment and second half points.
See, there's stuff. You got to look. You just got to mine for the gold, but it's there. But yeah, like I said, the Wildcat thing, they saw something on film. Their running backs are hurt. they saw that there was an opening there for the Wildcat that they didn't really take advantage of in the first, but with a minor tweak, they did take advantage of it in the second half. So there was something there. So I don't have an issue with that play call either. No. I really don't.
I mean, at this point, Chubb has only had a few snaps. Who do you trust to have the ball in your hand on a critical 4th and 1 situation? And it's Corbin. It's the guy that's been your number 1 running back all year, like the most reliable person to have the ball in his hands for the season. And I don't understand why you would be too upset about that. And honestly, if you can't get 4th and 1 in Wildcat, you can't get it with a quarterback in the backfield.
Nope.
Yeah, that's smash mouth football in 2020. You line them up and you snap it to your running back and you let them get a yard. And sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't because the team stinks.
I liked this one. That wasn't a touchdown. Just to keep talking about
Chubba. I just want to talk about Chubba.
We'll go back to Chubba. Don't worry about Chubba.
So what do we have here, Kevin?
Early on, we missed a 4th down conversion because we kind of ran inside zone, and these linebackers flew up.
Yep.
Well, this time,
busted it in the mouth.
The second time we ran Wildcat, we instead ran outside zone. And so you'll see these linebackers kind of take this step up and get kind of lost. And then they end up over pursuing and the cutback lane opens up. And I think it's just a beautiful, like you can play football. You can scheme things up even in the Wildcat. It doesn't have to be, like you can run different sides of the ball, inside zone, outside zone. They get the linebackers over pursuing here. And that was a step away from being a huge play.
Yeah.
And it's another tweak. I don't know if you guys listened to Dave Doran's comments, but even though Florida State didn't have supreme success against an NC State defense that's not very good, they give the coaches something to talk about. Dave Doran was saying they run out of unbalanced sets all night. There's some stuff that we didn't see, some stuff that we didn't account for. And I mean, that's good coaching, right? That's scouting your opponent and that's making them do some things that they're not prepared for and trying to get numbers and gaps in your favor. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I have issues with some aspects of the coaching, man, but I don't see anything where it screams that somebody needs to be fired or kept for 20 years.
I mean, you just look at the play. I mean, look at your box at the numbers. I mean, you've got, I believe it was 7 or 8 on 6. Like in 2022, you're hoping that you've got the personnel in there that's a much bigger play than it was there, and consistently you can hit that and go to it and get big chunk yards because you're going to be able to physically handle teams.
Yeah, you got 7 blockers for 6 guys in the box.
I mean, 7 on 6, like that's what you're looking for every single time. It's great. It was a good job by them. I mean, they did a nice job.
That's a good point, Adam. And it was the same thing on that Jordan Young play that we saw last, that wide receiver screen, 2-on-1. Good teams are always going to take good offensive minds. They're going to scheme up the numbers. And if the numbers are in your favor, thank you for the 7 to 12 yards, sir. Please, may I have another? And that's what we got to do. Just because we're not executing it consistently right now, like Adam said, in 2022, we're going to have the guys where I think we are. But coach them now like you are in the future.
I think it's Trey. I hadn't thought about it that way, and I really think that's a good point. I really think that's smart to say it the way that you're saying it. To coach them like you're going to be coaching them in 2022, because you are hoping that you will have developed them well enough by then. I really think that's a very good point.
And the good news is we probably get a bowl game no matter what. So we'll get those extra practices.
But some of the deals with this,
I take it, dude. I take the bowl game too.
Some of it with this 4th down is like it's another snap. It's another opportunity to put these guys in a pressure situation and see how they respond, right? Like Mike talks about it all the time, how they're always looking for pressure situations. What's more pressure packed than 4th down?
Data points. It's all data points and things you can build off of and things you can point to, and it's not theoretical. It's like, this is how you guys responded to that same exact situation a couple plays later, and you converted. You can do it. It's like Tony Robbins with his big hands and his motivational speaking. I believe in you. I believe in you. I'm with you, dude. Play no more. We know we have good special teams. Play no more special teams the rest of the year. Never kick, never punt, never do anything. Just like you're playing with Oregon in NCAA like football on PlayStation. Just never run any special teams.
So I think we should end the film session with probably everybody's favorite play of the night.
Oh, here it is, Adam. The grand finale.
Me Chubba.
And they gave us a nice all-22 view of it, so they were pretty kind.
That's so kind of them for only giving us a condensed version of the game.
I think first off, we can throw out the illusion that Chubba is going to be a runner, like a runner in like the scheme sense, like Jordan Travis. That's not his strength. But when it comes to this kind of stuff, like taking off and being like that gunslinger, like Aaron Rodgers, like I'm going to take off and run when the opportunity presents itself, that is definitely a strength for him.
Kevin, what did we think of the route combination here and the physical ball thrown by Chubb? I've seen a lot of people, and maybe you guys can comment on it. They think his throwing motion kind of stinks or something. They think he looks like he's shot putting a ball. Do you guys have any issues with his throwing mechanics or anything like that?
Nope.
Okay.
It's not my favorite to watch.
It looks weird. I will say the
works.
delivery kind of looks weird, but mechanically, Adam, you don't have any issues with it?
No, because it's consistent. The ball always comes out above his shoulder, which means it's going to be accurate, and it gets out fast enough. So for me, like I don't give a crap what it looks like.
I hated watching EJ Manuel throw a football, but I'd take him back in a heartbeat.
Yeah, like for me, those are the big three. That's the big three for me. Like if it comes out like quickly enough, as long as the ball is coming out with the elbow above the shoulder line, that means it's going to be accurate. And it's quick. I mean. I can't complain about it. I don't care what it looks
until he shows accuracy problems. It's a mute point.
Yeah.
Right. And it's kind of like Jim Furyk's golf shot. Looks like an alien is doing it, but it goes where it wants to, and it's consistent in the follow through like every time. I am interested. You did say in our Discord chat, there's a Tomahawk Nation Discord, guys. Check that out. There's really good. Like I'm in there, Kevin's in there, Adam's in there. You mentioned, and I don't know if it was something that Chubba cleaned up, that you were concerned with how low he was holding the ball. Is that something that he does consistently, or did he clean that up as the game went on?
No. He's going to have to clean that up. Like
okay.
When he drops back and is going through his progressions, he's got the ball down around his Chubba, and it's not. That's not a good look. He's going to and he's got one hand on the ball. He's going to have to clean that up in a hurry. I guarantee you they got all over him about that.
Okay.
Before we move too far, I mean, I'm a passing game guy. I want to talk about this route combination. I like it.
All right, verticals.
Okay, so
Air raid!
We kind of have this switch concept. Oh, that was bad. But this guy's kind of running. It's more of like a deep post over the middle. I don't just ignore that exists. And then
I can't even see it.
This guy's running a crosser. And so this is kind of like a modified Mills concept. So the Mills concept is just this. It's a way to you kind of run a dig or a crossing route, and it high-lows this safety. So he has to decide to either come up or cover this deep post. And he comes up and gets this crossing route, leaving the deep post wide open. It kind of shows you, we've been talking about all of his triple option, all of his running game stuff. But now that we have this all 22 film, I can show that. He can put together a passing game,
And Mike Norvell is at heart, he likes to run the ball and he likes to take the top off the defense. He's a believer in verticality. And this is more akin, I think, once Chubba gets more of the playbook burned into the synapses, once he's got more time with it, once he's immersed in it more, this is the type of stuff that Mike Norvell wants to be able to run because it worked to perfection right there. Great combination, great execution, touchdown Florida State. What's up, baby? Got it to double digits against the Wolfpack. I felt good. I felt good in the fourth quarter. I felt okay.
Yeah, check out his Twitter because it's hilarious to follow during a game.
Oh yeah, it's just a psychotic man screaming into the internet ether. But I have fun with it, guys. It's a fun ride.
And Chubba got it down there, Mr. Kev. I don't know if he's got the arm strength. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Kev, Mr. I don't know if he's got the arm strength. I've never doubted his
long ball ability. Throw it in traffic, man.
All right, Jordan Travis is healthy this week. Who you playing?
Asking me?
I'm asking both of you.
I play them both. I don't know who's going to start. Travis just gives you too much athletically to think about. I think you play them both, and I think you start Chubba Purdy, and I think you begin the transition of Jordan Travis to figure out what to do with him as a skilled player on the offense, whether it's in the slot, like a Taysom Hill type deal, like one of those like converted Jesus, who was that guy who played for Florida? They mention it all the time. Like
Trey Burton.
Yeah, exactly. Those guys, those converted quarterback skill position dudes. But Jordan Travis is just too good of an athlete on a team that's devoid of weapons for you not to play him some. But I think I would probably start Chubba Purdy and then figure out a rotation, man. You got a week to scheme up some. You're playing Clemson, dude. It's free money. Get weird. Weird.
In my mind, Jordan Travis gives you a better chance to win today, and not because he's some amazingly better quarterback than Chubba Purdy, but mostly because we just don't have weapons in the passing game, and so it might be he's more dynamic of a runner, and that's going to be a more effective way to move the ball consistently. But as we've said, I think that it's not about today. It's not about this year. As soon as we get weapons in, Chubba Purdy's going to be a more dynamic quarterback that's going to be more effective at winning you ball games 2 years down the road. So to me, I think you're right. They both have to play. We got to see both of them. I don't care who starts. I think that seeing both of them.
Who would you start, Coach Kev? Who would you start? Putting you on the hot seat. Who do you start? You're Mike Norvell. same backfield, double quarterback set.
No, not a double quarterback set. But instead of running Wildcat, maybe put Jordan Travis in on 4th and 1. You know, he's going to be more likely to run the ball and get you that, and it gives you another threat throwing the ball. And there's great ways to use them, and I don't see why you can't be like a 60-40 getting Chubba 60% of the snaps, get him reps, and then 40% to move the ball.
Like an old Steve Spurrier kind of 2 quarterback system. And I'm fine. And like I said, Adam, we'll get your answer here after I pontificate. But I'm fine with either, dude, because Jordan Travis is like beating himself up for you. Yep. So if he starts, I'm fine. I would personally start Chubba Purdy. What do you do, Coach AB?
No, I mean, so I've been thinking about it because I knew I wanted to ask you guys about this tonight. Like, I think that it goes back to who works the hardest in practice.
Yep.
Who upholds your standard, who upholds your your whole motto, the climb. Who does that the best? I never believe in a guy loses a position due to injury, but for the long term of your program, assuming that they both go out and do the exact same thing in practice, they both look great, they both work hard. I think you start Chubba, just because I think he's the closest thing to what you want to be long term. So I think for me, it's really kind of simple as long as they're both on an even foot in practice working. It's really an easy decision to start Chubba. But I agree with both of you. You've got to find ways to use Jordan Travis, and you got to find ways to keep him
engaged.
Yeah, engaged. Really, I mean, because you only have 2 quarterbacks on your roster right now. If he were to say, "Screw it, I'm out of here," or just kind of give up. So yeah, I think you need to keep him engaged and show him that you're going to still try to develop him as a passer. Like, I wouldn't be afraid to let him throw the ball some out of some of this.
No, not at all.
Funky stuff that you might do with him.
He's not a bad passer. He's not.
No. It's got to be very simplified for him because he can't do some of these things. He can't push the ball because of a lack of arm strength. So, yeah, I mean, I really agree with both of you. For me, if I had a gun to my head, make a decision right now, it's going to be Chubba starts and Travis is going to play situationally.
Can we talk real quick about how Tate Rodemaker, according to EPA, grades out as a better runner than
I did, dude. The wheels surprised me on that run. The wheels surprised me. That was good stuff.
Cracked me up. I got like so many mentions when that happened.
Didn't something bad happen like immediately afterwards?
Yeah, he threw a pick,
right?
but
okay.
Well, I mean, he's a running quarterback.
I love it. Do we have anything? Do we have anything else, guys? Before the tape against Clemson's going to be fun. It's just going to be It's just going to be the Zapruder film over and over and over again. Our head's just going to explode. And Kev and Adam and I are going to try to put the chunks back together.
We're going to be here.
Oh, God. And we are going to be here every single week because this is the triple option. Boys, anything else before I wrap this up with a nice little bow? Any other messages you'd like to get out to our fan base, the best fan base for the best show about Florida State football ever?
Go for it,
Go ahead, Kev. No, you go first.
I'm just going to say I got some flack about stuff I said last week. Bring it on. I want to hear everything you guys got to say. I feel like I'm decently open-eared about it, so give it to me. I've got an actual job on the side of this, so let me know how you feel. I got something to lean back on if you got too much grievances.
Yeah, don't
Not
at
me. I'm a baby. Don't say mean stuff to me online. I don't like it.
Don't at me because Willie Taggart's trash and still always going to be trash. So I don't.
Dude, FAU 4-1.
I don't want to hear anything about that dude. Should still be here. We should have saved $17 million. Dude's garbage. No,
that's always a funny point because we really only saved $5 million because he was 100% going to get fired after this year anyway. So
in all seriousness, though, like I have so much fun doing this with you guys, and I hope that everybody enjoys. What's going to be a long rest of the season. I hope everybody just is able to kind of join us and enjoy the ride. We're trying to take this show on, and we can't just sit here and be negative all the time. Of course, we could show you 8,000 negative plays and tell you how bad this guy sucks and that guy sucks, but who wants to watch that? So we're trying to find glimmers of hope for the long term because ultimately we're still fans and we want to see them be good, and we're going to try to figure this thing out the best we can.
That's right. Hope springs eternal here on the Triple Option Podcast for my buddies, my friends, my pals, my guys, Coach AB Adam Brown, for my boy X's and Noles, Guru Video, Vice Lord, Kevin Little. I am Trey Rowland. You thought I was going to, no. Subscribe to the X's and Noles YouTube account. We will be here every single week giving you the most fire takes in the history of Florida State college football. Check out the pinings of my friends Kevin and Adam on TomahawkNation.com. We are proudly presented by them. Got Whiteboard Wednesday. We're breaking down individual plays. Kevin has we're always trying to do funky new stuff with like technology and breaking down plays that honestly no other outlet's doing it the way that we're doing it with the same depth and the same flavor as the kids say on the streets. So check out their stuff at TomahawkNation.com. We appreciate it, guys. Listen. Stick with us. We're going to keep you sane. We're going to keep you sane. We're going to keep you chopping. That's what we want to do. Just never stop chopping. Never stop the chop. Love you guys. See you next week.
Peace.